Hey guys, Aaron Cybertron Zhang here, and today I am back with another episode in our Road to Rank series where I climb the online VGC 15 ladder. As always, if you want to see another episode tomorrow, please show your support for the series by leaving a like on this video. It really means a lot to me, and let's aim for 500 likes on this video. Today I am sticking with the exact same team as the previous episode, bringing Salamence, Landorus, Zapdos, Bisharp, Hariyama, and Sylveon. I really would like to use Mega Salamence more. In the games that I've used this team with so far, Mega Salamence just hasn't done very much. I've basically used the supporting cast a lot more than Salamence itself, but I'm hoping Salamence can make an appearance. First opponent of the day is going to be a 1593 rated player from Tokyo, Japan. His team is going to be Scizor, Rotom Wash, Charizard, Landorus T, Hydreigon, and Dedenne, which is really interesting to me. Really curious to see what that is going to do. Other than that, pretty standard team, but that one itself really sticks out to me. He's got Landorus T, which can definitely help out my Bisharp, but the Scizor is kind of scary. I think I'm going to bring Zapdos to spread paralysis, and because Zapdos actually gets Heat Wave, Zapdos and Landorus T seems like a solid lead, I'm thinking. Actually, Hariyama Zapdos isn't bad either. Salamence is actually pretty solid in this match as well, which I'm happy about. I'm actually going to lead with Salamence and Zapdos. And in the back, actually, no. Definitely going to lead with Salamence. That threatens my opponent's entire team. And I think I'm going to pair that up with Landorus. In the back, I'm going to have Zapdos and Hariyama, which makes sense. Yeah, I'm going to go with those four. Gonna keep Bisharp and Sylveon out of this one, mainly because of the Rotom Wash my opponent's got. But curious to see what the Dedenne does. That is, I would figure something functions similarly like Seijo and Park's Pachirisu, but I've actually never seen it used in VGC, so it'll be a good learning lesson. Looks like he's gonna go with Landorus and Scizor, yep, against my Salamence and own Landorus, so this is a solid lead matchup for me. Of course, I'm going to get the double Intimidate off on both of his physical attackers, which is actually really solid. So that's good for me because that instantly makes him considerably weaker. He's probably going to want to switch out Pokemon, etc. So, solid lead matchup here. Now the question is what he's got in the back. We saw Hydreigon, Charizard, Dedenne. So I'm tempted to Rock Slide with Landorus because I am Choice Banded to punish a potential Charizard switch in. I'm not sure you really want to bring Charizard in here in the first place. I'm definitely going to Mega Evolve with Salamence. And the question is, who do I target? Tempted to just return the Landorus and go for a Rock Slide. Alternatively, I can actually just go for the Draco Meteor because Fire Blast can still KO the Scizor. So I'm going to Mega Evolve, Draco, and Rock Slide. He's not going to switch out either of his Pokemon. Let's see if he goes for a U-turn on either or whether he protects with either. Salamence is going to Mega Evolve though, and it's going to make it considerably faster for the remainder of this match. He's going to U-turn with the Landorus onto my own Landorus, not protecting with Scizor, so good call by him, expecting me to target the Landorus, and I'm kind of frustrated I didn't target that Scizor slot with a Fire Blast now. But let's see what comes in. There's nothing in Linda's team that can really take a Draco Meteor and a Rock Slide, so whatever comes in is going to be heavily punished. But the question is who he decides to bring in. If it's Charizard, that would be really nice because I'd basically eliminate his Mega, but it looks like it's going to be Rotom. And that's fine. Salamence is going to connect with this Draco Meteor, should do a lot of damage. Let's see exactly how much it does though. As Rotom's HP slowly falls. Alright, around 70%, which I'll take. And it doesn't have the Citrus Berry, which is interesting. So Choice Band Landorus is going to get this Rock Slide off. I don't expect it to KO because of the Intimidate, and I actually get the Flinch on Scizor, which is really fortunate. So now I can just make the safe play at Fire Blasting. Actually, I'm going to go for Return onto the Scizor and Rock Slide. Return, of course, is turned into Flying type because of Salamence's ability, and I'm expecting him to switch out the Scizor now. So if I can call the switch correctly, even if he doesn't switch, I'm still going to be doing a lot of damage. The flinch was fortunate. I presume he was going to go for a knockoff with the Scizor onto Landorus. Of course, Scizor now actually gets access to knockoff. But either way, that was a huge first turn for me, and I think my leads really just outbeat his. And I'm actually kind of glad I didn't go for the Fire Blast on Scizor. Getting that much damage off on Rotom is really good, especially because Rotom is a pretty annoying Pokemon to deal with. But I'm very interested to see why he doesn't carry the Citrus Berry, but I'm going to connect with that. He's not going to switch out or protect with Scizor, so I'm just going to do enough damage to it and Rock Slide here. So both turns my opponent just attacking. Oh wow, he went for the Tailwind with Scizor. Did not see that move coming. Very smart play on my opponent's end. That's one of the moves that Scizor gets that you often forget about, because a lot of the times you just see things like Knock Off, Bug Bite, Bullet Punch, and Protect, but maybe he doesn't even carry Protect, and I'm thinking maybe I should have just Fire Blasted that slot to be a bit safer, but Return was at least guaranteed damage, and the game is 4-3 in my favor. But that was a really, really good attack on my opponent's end to try to get back into this game. So, Tailwind Scizor coming into play. That's, once again, pretty rare, but that's a move that you shouldn't be too surprised to see, I guess, on Scizor. So, pretty cool to see that come out. He is going to bring in his Landorus once again. That's going to intimidate both of my Pokemon. So now they're both at -2. Probably going to want to pull out a switch sometime now. The question is, who do I switch into? And the Scizor getting that is really annoying, because now he can actually just knock off everything. Assuming he does have knockoff. And the question is whether I want to switch out Landorus now. I mean, I feel like it's better to just hold the Protect and switch play here. I think I'm going to go for it. I'm going to Protect with my Salamence and switch into... Question is, do I want to switch into Zapdos or Hariyama? I think I'm going to go with Zapdos. Well, Hariyama would give me Fake Out pressure. That's the thing. So you know what? I'm going to bring in Hariyama, yeah. I need to stall out this Tailwind right now. That's my main priority, and Hariyama's going to make it a lot easier. Now, the reason why I wanted to switch in Zapdos is because if I stall out Tailwind, there's not much my opponent can even do against Hariyama, but I'm just going to go for the safe Protect and switch out play here. This is pretty scary playing against the Tailwind right now. He's going to go for the Bullet Punch into Salamence and go for a Rock Slide, so now I'm glad I made that play. The Rock Slide should not do very much to that Hariyama. Yep, does minimal amount of damage, as Salamence is still at full HP, which is really good. Now I can Fake Out the... I'm assuming like he's got Charizard as his last one. So I have to play accordingly. Landorus and Zapdos both do pretty well against Charizard. But I kind of want to just Fake Out the Landorus and Draco Meteor that as well. Also, I could just Ice Punch Landorus and Fire Blast. Okay, I'm going to switch my Salamence out into Landorus, because I know Salamence can outspeed his entire team once Tailwind ends, and just go for the Ice Punch onto a Landorus. His Scizor is already at -1, so I'm not too worried about that. So I'm going to pull this switch out, and there's not very much my opponent can really do against Landorus, especially at -1, and I am a pretty bulky Landorus T as well. It's a choice band but bulky variant. As he goes for the Quick Guard, haha, not going to fall into that, as I did not go for the Fake Out. But this is a really, really interesting Scizor, opting to go with moves like Quick Guard and Tailwind. He's going to get that Rock Slide off. Hopefully I don't flinch here, and I do flinch, which is unfortunate, so looks like we trade flinches this time around. I am going to go for the Rock Slide here and go for an Ice Punch onto Landorus. And that was an unfortunate flinch, but if anything, I guess that makes up for the flinch I got on my opponent earlier on. But I am still in a very good position, given that my Pokemon basically haven't lost much HP, and my opponent is just slowly dying or fainting. He's actually going to withdraw the Landorus, which is an interesting switch. Let's see what comes in. That looks like it's going to be Charizard. Yeah, so my opponent's basically done for. Although he does make a smart play by U-turning here. So we do see the Scizor's full moveset. U-turn, Bullet Punch, Tailwind, and Quick Guard. Definitely not a moveset I'd really expect on Scizor. Swords Dance is probably the most common one, though now it gets access to a bunch of really nice tutor moves. And by doing this, he's going to be able to bring back Landorus and intimidate both of my physical attackers. So a smart way to reset the Intimidate there. However, Landorus... Oh, does it connect? Okay, it missed on his Landorus T, but it connects with Charizard, which is obviously the one I really need to hit. So that's big, as Hariyama also gets the Ice Punch off. Will it be enough to knock out Charizard? It isn't, wow. But Tailwind peters out, and that's good. But that was a really clutch play by my opponent, honestly. By doing that, yeah, he manages to bring back his Charizard, which comes in safely. So, very clever maneuvering on my opponent's end. And even though I'm up right now, Charizard actually gives my team considerable trouble. So I'm tempted to just go for a Rock Slide Ice Punch here, but do I really want to do that? That's the question. Yeah, this is tricky, because the Charizard, my Landorus is pretty slow, So he might be able to just Heat Wave and Rock Slide me, and if he goes for that play, there's not really much I can do against that. But the question is, do I want to conserve either of my Pokemon, or am I fine with the Pokemon I have in the back? You know what, I want to conserve the Hariyama because it can beat my opponent's entire team. I'm going to Rock Slide here and switch into Zapdos, effectively sacking it. Hariyama, I think, is pretty important in this match because it can Fake Out, and I basically need to close this game with my Mega Salamence. But this is a really great game, I think, so far, as he is going to be the Charizard Y. So once again, very clever playing on that last end, and it was really clutch that the Charizard was able to hang on with that sliver of HP. And it is going to be Charizard Y, as you'd expect. That is going to set up the Drought. Let's see what he goes for. He's going to just Rock Slide. Oh, Zapdos actually avoids that, which could potentially be bad. I was actually kind of hoping he'd hit there. Oh, but I'm actually faster than his Charizard. I wasn't sure exactly how fast he was, but that's pretty much going to seal up the game for me, I'd say. Charizard was his one way of really coming back here, but by picking up the KO there, and by him not protecting, and there wasn't really much he could have even done. I guess he could have hoped for a flinch, but that's a really, really big turn for me there. Now I'm just going to go for the Rock Slide and the Heat Wave, knowing that Salamence and Hariyama should be able to seal up this game. Definitely a scary turn, though. I wasn't sure exactly how fast his Charizard Y was, and I have had Charizard Ys outspeed my Landorus before, so bulky Landorus is really, really awesome, but the thing is you do lose some speed for it. But let's see how this plays out. There's not really much my opponent can do at this point. I guess he can just flinch me to death and get a Swords Dance with Scizor, which actually would be very threatening. So as long as he doesn't flinch either of my, or if he flinches one, that's fine. As long as he doesn't flinch both of my Pokemon, I think I'll be fine. Since I went for the Heat Wave with Zapdos. He's going to go for the Bullet Punch onto Landorus. Smart play. That might put it in Rock Slide range. Let's see. Landorus T is going to connect with both of my Pokemon with Rock Slide. Is it enough to knock it out? It does knock out. Oh, the Landorus with the critical hit, I see. Let's see if Zapdos can get this Heat Wave off, though. And it flinches, too. Yikes. So if there's anything my opponent needs to get back into this game, I guess it's those. But I've still got a full HP Mega Salamence here in the back. So I'm going to bring that in. And now I can just go for the Draco Meteor onto the Landorus and go for a Heat Wave. Actually, maybe I should have roosted with Zapdos, but I think that's fine. Though I'm not sure exactly how bulky his Landorus here is. However, Salamence should be able to outspeed it at the very least. But we'll see. This is a pretty tight battle still. But once again, the Scizor doesn't have Protect, yeah, so I probably should have targeted it with an Salamence here. He's gonna actually Bullet Punch Zapdos instead, as he is, oh wow, that's a Choice Scarf Landorus, okay. But that's good to know, as Salamence is gonna fall to 101 HP, but basically, neither of my Pokemon have Protect, so Salamence connects here with the Draco Meteor, that's really good. I definitely should have just attacked Scizor though, knowing it doesn't have Protect. Will Draco Meteor be able to knock out the Salamence? It does. So that's going to seal up the game for me. But, yeah, I should have anticipated Choice Scarf. It's actually the most common item on Landorus T. So, really shouldn't have surprised me there. And I should have played it a bit safer and brought in Hariyama, because there's actually not very much my opponent could have even done against Hariyama with Scizor and Landorus. But, fortunately enough, I'm able to connect with the attack here. Now I can just safely return and Fake Out. And that's basically going to seal up the game. But, really interesting game here. A really long one as well, as Fake Out's going to flinch the Scizor, and Salamence here is going to be able to knock it out. But Mega Salamence actually was very, very impressive in this match. My opponent's Scizor was definitely one of the more interesting Scizor sets I've seen in a very long time. And that was a pretty long, drawn-out game, but by stalling out the Tailwind, I was able to basically clutch it out. But really unique game, pretty cool to see Scizor being used again. Of course, it was really popular in VGC 2012 and 2013, so pretty cool to see it making an appearance again. And a pretty great match there. I could have played a bit safer, and I should have assumed Landorus T was Choice Scarf in the first place, but Double Intimidate really helped me out. And even though that was a long match, I'm still going to go for a second game this episode. So I'm going to find another match right now. It was a really exciting first game, and one that finally featured Mega Salamence, so I'm pretty glad about that. But yeah, the Double Intimidate lead is really, really nice. My second opponent of the day, gonna be a 1562 rated player from Japan, so another Japanese trainer. His team is going to be very standard: Landorus, Thundurus, Greninja, Kangaskhan, Talonflame, and Aegislash. So basically 5 of the 6 most common Pokemon currently in VGC 2015. So it's scary because he's got a lot of fast ones like Greninja, Talonflame, and Kangaskhan. That's definitely the most threatening thing about his team. I'm going to lead with Hariyama. Actually, no. I'm going to lead with Zapdos. And Zapdos Hariyama is a pretty safe lead here for me. In the back, I'm going to go with my own Salamence, and I think Bisharp as my last one. It's Bisharp or Landorus T. Actually, I like Landorus T more, so I'm going to go with Landorus T. Mainly because Bisharp really doesn't like playing against Kangaskhan's, so we'll see how this fares. And this episode, of course, is going to be a bit longer because that first match took so long, but I hope you guys don't mind. So hopefully Mega Salamence can do some more work this match. I'm going to lead with Zapdos and Hariyama, as he goes with his Aegislash and his Greninja. Okay. Interesting lead matchup here, but a pretty good one, I'd say, on my end. This first turn, I'm going to go for the Thunder Wave onto the Greninja and the knockoff right away onto the Aegislash. My Hariyama is slower than Aegislash, so if it chooses to attack, then I'm going to be able to pick up a KO right away with it. And Zapdos and Hariyama are both pretty bulky, so they shouldn't faint immediately. Now, the question is whether Greninja actually has Map Block or not. It's actually a move, of course, that Greninja gets. Greninja, not a very common Pokemon in VGC, though now that it gets access to a lot of the tutor moves, it is picking up more popularity. Of course, very frail, but that's why you often see Focus Sash on it. He's actually going to switch out. Let's see what comes in. Probably Landorus or Thundurus, I'd assume. But it looks like it's Kangaskhan. That's going to be a costly switch for my opponent. I'm going to get a Thunder Wave off against Kangaskhan. That's going to allow Hariyama to outspeed it. So, very great first turn for me there, even regardless of what Aegislash goes for. He's going to go for attack, so I'm going to be able to knock out the Aegislash as well. That first turn basically couldn't have played out more perfectly for me. Gonna target the Zapdos there with Shadow Ball. Doesn't even do 50% as Hariyama gets the knockoff, and it should KO Aegislash as it does. So, perfect turn 1 for me, basically. Did not take very much damage and paralyzed Kangaskhan, which was huge. And Aegislash there does have leftovers. Of course, leftovers was the most common item, I'd say, in Aegislash, but we are seeing a trend of more bulky Aegislash. So, we've seen, you know, Life Orb and Weakness Policy pick up popularity. He's going to bring in Talonflame now, and I'm perfectly fine with that, because given the Pokemon I've got in the back, they can seal up this game pretty easily, actually. So his Hariyama's probably going to fake out Zapdos. Excuse me, his Hariyama. His Kangaskhan's probably going to fake out the Zapdos. I'm going to switch into my Landorus T to get the Intimidate off and go for the Close Combat onto Kangaskhan, I think. Actually, maybe I should switch into... The main issue is Greninja actually gives me a considerable amount of trouble because it can outspeed my Pokemon. So that's my main concern right now. But I'm thinking of just switching into Landorus. You know what? Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to allow him to KO my Hariyama so I get a free switch in and I can roost with Zapdos. So I'm going to T-Bolt the Talonflame and Close Combat the Kangaskhan. And if he's fully paralyzed, then he's going to be in a whole lot of trouble. Though in perspective, maybe he just went for the return onto Zapdos, and if that is the case, I think I might have just misplayed a bit, but let's see. Oh yeah, he did go for that play. Yeah, so I really should have switched out there. That's going to be a costly mistake on my end. As he goes for the Brave Bird onto Hariyama, that is going to take it out. So I should have considered that play, and I really didn't, so that was a huge mistake on my end. But it looks like it's going to be a 2-on-2, basically, as Zapdos knocks out Talonflame here. Really should have switched out to Landorus T and just close combated. That would have given me a huge advantage. And he has Double Edge on Kang, which is a very common move on Mega Kangaskhan's nowadays. That should knock out my Zapdos, as it does. So, this battle is getting pretty scary, as it is going to take some recoil damage. However, I'm going to get a double Intimidate off against the Kangaskhan, which is good. Of course, my opponent's last Pokemon is Greninja, though, which is very scary, because it gets access to that speedy Ice Beam. So I'm going to bring in Salamence, and I'm going to bring in Landorus, and the question is whether I want to protect with Salamence or not. Let's see. So I really misplayed that last turn. I did not think things through, really thought Fake Out was coming from Kang, and then realized right after I locked in that there were other moves that Kangaskhan could have gone for. So now the Kang is at -2, so I really need to focus on this Greninja, basically. But the question is whether he's going to target Landorus or Salamence. And if he has Focus Sash, then I'm going to be in a whole lot of trouble. But yeah, I'm still really mad at myself for how I played that last turn, knowing that he had Greninja in the back as well. But if anything, this shows the power of Greninja and how, by it being really fast, it's just really powerful. If it is Focus Sash, I basically don't have a way to win this game. I'm just going to return an Earthquake, I think. Yeah. So it's going to come down to what item the Greninja has, basically. If it's not Focus Sash, I think I can win, but if it is Focus Sash, then I think I lose. But we'll find the moment of truth right now. He goes for the Ice Beam. Who does it target? Protean is going to change it into Ice type. It's going to target Salamence. Okay. So the question there was whether I should have protected with Salamence or not, but had I protected Salamence and had he just targeted my Landorus, I would have been done for. I'm going to get the Earthquake off here. Oh, wow, okay. Yeah, I think this is actually going to be a loss for me here, as Kangaskhan is going to target Landorus with the Double Edge, and he's going to be able to outspeed me and KO me with Ice Beam the next turn. So, really close game, but I misplayed heavily, especially after how great of a turn 1 I had there. And if anything, a lesson to learn from this shows that even if you have such a good lead to start off the game, you know, you're never in the safe. You need to play each turn out safely, and my opponent's Greninja there is going to knock out my Landorus and effectively taking the game. So, props to him. He played that really well given how good my first turn was, but I really messed up with the turn with Zapdos and Hariyama against his Talonflame and Kangaskhan. Had I just switched out to one of my Intimidators and gotten the close combat off, I think the game surely would have been in my favor. But instead, my opponent's going to take a very impressive victory there, and it shows some of the weaker parts of this team. Definitely need to make sure I can beat Greninja and Talonflame in the future. Greninja is actually very good against my entire team, and you should expect to see it more often now in VGC 2015 because of all the moves it gets and the fast Ice Beam. But I hope you guys enjoyed that match. I think they were two really informative games. As always, leave a like if you did, and I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.